Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you're here today on One Punch Superstars, where we hear the stories of people who have fought for their hopes and their dreams. And today, I'm really excited because I have a very good friend of mine, Shawna Cullen. And Shawna is a personal trainer, and she is like probably one of the most fit people I know. And she empowers, here we go. I mean, come on, is that fit or what? And she empowers entrepreneurs to build their businesses and be the best. That, as you know, my saying is always, you were created for greatness. And that's what she does. She empowers entrepreneurs to greatness. Welcome, Shawna.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm absolutely honored.
I am just amazed at not only what you do, but your walk. And so you started out in fitness at the age of, what is it, 15, you said?
15. Yes, I was 15 years old. I was blessed with my first gym membership. First time I walked into the gym doors, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just I went in and started just practicing around on the machines, following the little descriptions on the machines, and what I picked up from it from that very first time was the relief that it was giving me mentally. I was too young to know exactly that was occurring, but it drew me back. It drew me back the next day and the next day. And that was the start of my immersion into the fitness industry.
Well, it actually, as you begin to work out, you actually change your brain chemistry. You actually have I call them the feel good juices. And so it makes sense. And, when I was reading through your bio, it says, there was a time when you really needed some feel good juices.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a time, and there continues to be the time. The time is constant, actually. When you are an individual who lives and tries to control and struggles with mental health issues such as depression and anxiety and ADHD, those feel-good juices are always needed, are always on the need. So that, is what continued me to have the relationship with exercise, is because of what it was doing for my mental health, let alone obviously, the physical benefits. I like to say it as, the working out provides a good, healthy inside and outside of your body. The outside is like a side effect, and your look is a side effect of what you're actually doing for your mental health.
Well, I like how you said the word side effect, because you're saying, you suffered from ADHD. I am also an ADHD child who didn't realize until I was way older, when a physician said, "Oh, you have ADHD." And it's like, well, that's why I was always in trouble. So, ADHD is a physical condition. It affects the brain, but we have in our schools today a large percentage of our children on Ritalin, which is a derivative of Coke. Now, that should tell you something. Can you address the issues of medicating ADHD and how to deal with ADHD without all of the side effects?
Absolutely. So thank you for asking that question, because in fact, I was on Adderall. So Adderall is another form of Ritalin. Those are kind of the two main go-tos for ADD and ADHD. And so I was prescribed Adderall in my late 20s, early 30s. And because of what the doctor was telling me to do, I took my prescribed amount. I was misprescribed, possibly misdiagnosed. The reason I say that is because they had me at the topmost milligrams of someone who can take it. They'll give little doses, medium, big doses. They right off the bat gave me the highest dose legally available. And so I was just doing what the doctor told me. In the end, Adderall could have literally taken my life if I would have let it. I came to terms one day that it was the Adderall that was shooting me off the deep end. It was driving my life in the absolute wrong direction. Again, another side effect of being on that sort of medication. Read it in the fine print. It says things of us being, people on it. A side effect is, for lack of better words, we become a little crazy, a little loose in the head, a little paranoid, not believing or thinking in reality. But because of that side effect, it's everybody around us who are the crazy ones. So we're very alone in that. But when I came to and realized that it was that medication that was sending me down another terrible rabbit hole, I threw that down the toilet and I went cold turkey off of it. Absolutely don't ever go cold turkey off of any medications. That is when I could have taken my life and was very close to taking my life. So since then,
can you address that a little bit? Because this is what is amazing me. On this show in the last 3 weeks, you are the third person who has said you actually considered taking your life.
Yes.
When did you realize that this could be a side effect rather than, when did you realize the side effect of wanting to end your life?
It wasn't until hindsight. It wasn't until after I went through that dark, dark tunnel. I locked myself in my apartment for 4 months. And even during that point, I wasn't realizing or necessarily really attributing it to the medication, because you're in such a dark spot and your brain chemistry, your brain chemicals are just all over the place. And when you're isolating yourself like that, you don't have anybody else to talk to, literally, and to bounce these feelings and thoughts off of. So it wasn't until hindsight, when I started putting all of this stuff together, when I was actually healthy and my brain had overcome the side effects of the medication and of the disease, to where I was able to look back and put it all together as that being a side effect of the medication. in addition to other substances that I was inundating my body with, because I was self-medicating for so long as well. So it wasn't just that medication I was on several other drugs, alcohol, in order to self-medicate and get me through the ADHD and the anxiety and depression. Now, just because I'm not on medication anymore doesn't mean I don't have it. It's actually even a more real scenario because now I don't have anything masking it. So I have been on a mission for the past about 5 years. I've been medication free now from several different medications for my anxiety, depression, and ADHD. But that is a daily management and maintenance of it. I am on clean, all natural supplements in order to help with those chemicals that are off, in order for me to be able to manage it and live a healthy life on a day-to-day basis. And I'm so grateful, though, that medication isn't in the way and masking my real self, my real emotions, in order for me to and be, the best self I can be in my day-to-day basis. I knew that the medication was not the right way to go after I had come off of it and after I had educated myself about the side effects and how real side effects are with medications. In fact, the way I see it too is because the side effects of most medications are so horrendous, our bodies are not born to combat or deal with chemicals and chemicals that are inundated into our systems because of medications. So more than half the time when we're on medications, our bodies are trying to figure out what to do with these side effects and with this added chemical than it is actually being able to experience and endure the relief it's supposed to be giving us. And no medication is meant to be on, especially when it comes to mental health medications, is meant to be in our systems for the rest of our lives. But that is how a lot of doctors like to portray that. It is meant to maybe get us over some humps, but do keep in mind that even if we're on it for a temporary amount of time to get us over and through a hump, even with that is, we still then have put a chemical into our body that our body is going to continue to need to know how to rid itself of it and detoxify out of it so that we can be our regular selves again. So what I'm getting at is, like, for example, my anxiety. When I came off my anxiety depression, my anxiety today is worse than it was when I first got on my medication. But that's okay because I'm at peace with the process of being off and on medications. I understand what I've done to myself being off and on medications, which is why another reason why I'm so hard these days of never going back to medications, because I can't do this anymore due to medications. I can do this with my own self, but not with the chemicals involved anymore. It's too fine of a line to play around with chemicals, just like playing around with drugs. It's all the same.
So I like how you say that messing with chemicals is like messing with drugs, because it's interesting because I do believe in doctors. I do believe in that they have a gift and that works. But I like the way you say, you're dealing with a drug. Mm-hmm. Drug is dealing with chemistry. And when you're going on a medicine for a mental issue, you are changing the chemistry of your brain. Right. And that chemistry starts with, hormones that are regulated not only in your brain, but in your digestive system. Mm-hmm. So knowing what you're going through, what are some of the steps that you use to manage anxiety, depression, and that which was previously medicated? Because once you start dealing with messing with that chemistry, mm-hmm. it gets totally out of whack.
Yeah, it does. And again, I'm glad that you asked that question, because I have taken steps to get myself to be my best self, to be at my best health, in my life. And it started 5 years ago. I am a personal trainer and I have clients. One of my dear clients, she's still a client of mine today. We sat and we went and talked at the coffee shop to talk about personal training sessions and how those programs were going to look for her and her husband. In that conversation, she had spoken the words anxiety and depression due to what field that she was in and what she was doing. And so I inquired with her. I'm like, okay, you talked about anxiety and depression. I am dealing with that. I've suffered from that for many years. What do you do? So she does this thing called lens therapy, which is low energy neurofeedback system. And that therapy was the start of the rest of my life, the fullest potential of my health. So lens therapy was able to kind of remap my brain back to its original state. When we're born, our brains are in a certain map. That's the way they are made. That's the way they're supposed to be. Throughout life, due to head injuries, which I've had head injuries from domestic abuse and domestic violence, but due to head injuries, from sports, things like that, and also drugs that we put into our bodies that do change the chemicals in our brains, our map becomes unmapped. We're always in a state of survival. So when it becomes unmapped, our brains, we're still going to try to figure out how to survive. And so that means instead of being mapped like this, it becomes unmapped. So this pathway is still going to need to figure out how to talk to the next pathway. So then it becomes all mumbled and jumbled and mangled. So the lens therapy kind of puts your brain back into its original state. And for me, that lens therapy allowed my anxiety to start dulling down. This was a huge thing. So there's addiction involved in all of this as well. I've already mentioned that I was highly inundated with drugs and alcohol for over 20 years of my life in order to self-medicate my mental issues. So due to that, I was able to, get on this lens therapy. And with the addiction part of it, my addiction, my need to have that alcohol at night, to go to the liquor store that night, started naturally going away, to the point of I would pull into the liquor store on my way home. I would end up at home as I was going through lens therapy and be like, you didn't go to the liquor store. Or I have my bottle of beer and I crack the beer open. In the morning, I would find, my 3 or 4 beers, my 3 or 4 glasses of whatever in the morning empty. I started finding my full beers, maybe with 1 sip out of it. And that was a natural occurrence. So then I started naturally feeling like, okay, start weaning yourself off of your anxiety medications. So I naturally started taking myself off of my anxiety medications as well. So because of the lens therapy, in addition then to now these days, I also lay within a Therify bed, and it has a lamp at your feet and at your head, and you lay in a frequency field, and the frequency is a field of restoration. And so it's restoring the cells in my body the way they need to be restored. I find relief with my anxiety and depression when I lay in that bed. Other people find relief from pain. So it works on your cells the way it needs to be worked upon. And then I also went through a 28-day detox cleanse. I was able to cleanse my entire system and my body and my gut out, because a lot of your gut health has to do with your mind health. And so with that detox as well, it was able to clear even more up in my mind. And then once you've detoxed your body, especially for a good 28, 30 days, a full body detox, then it's clean and clear for when you do incorporate clean supplements and clean nutrition. Even a clean piece of chicken, your body is able to uptake those nutrients fuller, almost at 100%, as opposed to 10% when we're all mucky and yucky in there with our toxins. And so after that cleanse, I incorporated one last supplement, and yes, I do take supplements, and supplements includes vitamins. I take supplements on a daily basis, but again, it's all food-based stuff. So there's no chemicals involved with these supplements. So I added one last supplement after this detox cleanse called Renew. It does have to do with your own human growth hormone, reactivating that. But since incorporating Renew, this was about 2.5 years ago now, I can say to this day, the majority of my days are anxiety free. When the anxiety does come in, it's on a different level. It's here instead of here. And so it's more manageable. I can tell when it's coming in so that I know how to fight it off before it gets up to here. And so with frequency therapies, with EMDR, which is a talk therapy where you're able to bring back to life your past and then be able to kind of let it go, make more your past a realistic thing as opposed to demons and the devil and terrible, traumatic occurrences. And then healthy eating, healthy diet, and healthy supplementation, I'm able to be at this point where I will continue to always be medication free. And I know that this is the Shawna, but the Shawna does come with hurt, pain, and trauma and craziness and ups and the downs. That's life. That's life for every single one of us. So when we can come to terms with us being able to deal with life to our best abilities, being our fullest self with no chemicals or drugs or alcohol involved, then that's the way to go. That's the best way to go. And it's possible. It's absolutely possible. If I was, and you hear this a lot, if I'm able to do it, you're able to do it. But it's because it's a true statement. I was addicted to drugs and alcohol for over 20 years in my life and medications that doctors told me to take. And I'm at this day where I can say I've been so free from all that for over 5 years. And of course, this comes in first and foremost with the guidance and the love and the protection from the Lord Jesus Christ. There's no way that I could have been taken care of all of these years and be here today to be able to talk to you, Eva, and so many viewers and listeners out there to say that it's possible. And when I've always had God in my life, but when I going through these things in the past few years, when I've really started examining that relationship and spending the time with him every single day that he needs from me and that he yearns and wants from me, just like I need and yearn and want from him, then that relationship as well has allowed me to put my faith and my everything in him, lay all of my demons over to him, let him take that away from me so that I can be the best Shawna and show up every single day. I'm in a position of leadership in several different aspects in my life, including my profession and career. I have to be at my A game every day. And a lot of people would want to argue with that. I can have my off days on the weekends, and I do. But I have to show up for my A game every single day for my clients because so many people are relying on me. And that's another thing too. When I came to the point of realizing that others really need me and rely on me for leadership purposes, for motivation, for inspiration, then I had to figure out how I'm going to show up every day as my best self. And I feel, and this is the closest I've been to that in my life, and I will continue to strive for that. So there's going to continue to be newer things that I find in my life that are going to help me, that I can help share, that I can share with other people, because not everything works for everybody.
I like the way I personally, as you know, I personally believe that you go vertical first, that God guides and directs you. Many of the therapies that you've used are very, very biblical. I mean, the first time we see God in the Bible, Adam didn't see God. He heard the sound. It talks about sound constantly throughout. And you're talking about conquering your demons. And Satan was the great worship master because he understands that the frequency of music, the frequency of sound can change the chemistry of your brain. Yeah. And I love the way you have taken all of these. You're taking them one step at a time to get to detox what was artificial. So good job.
Exactly. Thank you.
And the other thing that I found interesting was that when you were talking about food, now you and I both take many of the same supplements. Mm-hmm. Food-based, mm-hmm. The body recognizes vitamins and minerals that come in as food. The body does not recognize calcium that comes in as a rock.
Exactly.
So, but nutrition is just as much a part of self-cleansing
Yes.
as all of these other therapies.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, absolutely. That goes back to what a lot of us parents know, but a lot of us put it on the back burner, to where ADD and our children going through school, the sugars, the processed foods that we give ourselves and that we give our children cause and create this angst, this anxiety. Think of how you as an individual feel after eating a full candy bar, just straight away, quick. You know, it gives you that boost and that bump, and then there's that crash. Most of the time we're enduring, the crash is longer, it lasts longer. The come down from the sugar or whatever it is lasts longer than the actual high of it. And that goes for most and all of drugs as well. So,
well, did you know that sugar actually affects the brain exactly the same way as cocaine?
Yes. Yes, I do know that, which is, as I'm talking about this, I'm picturing, there's sugar, yes, and then there's the Ritalin and that Adderall that we're feeding our children and our adult selves as well, that goes right along with the cocaine and the sugar. And so, yes, a clean diet and nutrition is so important, and it is hard to find these days. It's not one thing to go to the meat section and go, just go pick up some chicken. You got to look at the chicken, the source of it, if there's hormones involved, if there's added this or that or the other, what they were fed, so it goes deep, unfortunately, at this point of our lives in this society. But if you know that and can give yourself the time to research, the better chickens at the better stores in town, then it's worth it. So yeah, having that clean nutrition is absolutely imperative for overall health. I can't expect to go out Friday night and go have some beers and a big old thing of ice cream and feel awesome the next day, mentally and physically. I can't expect that, but I can expect if I end up, having my clean chicken with my broccoli and rice that Friday night, no drinks at all, that Saturday morning is going to feel like a beautiful Saturday morning. And so that the clean nutrition has everything to do with clean mental health as well, completely.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial break right now. And when we come back, we're going to, I'd like to continue on a little bit with this and how that works into, because you're saying broccoli, chicken, rice. Rice is a carbohydrate.
Right.
Let's talk about good nutrition, not bad nutrition that leads to, okay, I got to put it up again, that leads to this type of health and wellness. So we will see you in just a few minutes. We are back with Shawna Cullen, and we are discussing nutrition as it applies to not only health, wellness, mental health, but also you are a personal trainer. And as a personal trainer, most people think, oh, if I find myself a personal trainer, I am going to work on looking like this picture here. I'm just going to be pumping iron, running 5 miles a day, and just totally exhausting myself. And that's what a personal trainer does. Can you explain to us how this all makes a full package? Because many people, I think, have a misconception of personal trainer.
Yeah. Thank you again for asking that question. So there can be a misconception. Just get a trainer to become vain and make yourself look pretty. It's so much more than that. And if a client comes to me for that, they learn so quickly in the most positive of ways that it's so much more than that. Like I explained to you at the beginning of today, of when I first started working out at 15 years old, and the relief that I felt mentally that it provided for me is where it's at. So it goes so much deeper than just your physical health. That includes nutrition. In my initial consultations with people, we go over all these things. We go over their goals physically and nutritionally, where they want to be. We pull out goals that they actually didn't even realize that they had or have. And that's the other thing about training too, is when you reach that one goal, you start realizing, even probably before you reach that goal, that there's other goals that you can attain and that you can accomplish. So that's a cool journey too, to walk through with the clients as well. But personal training, especially when you find a good one, should incorporate a lot more than just working out at the gym. It should incorporate education on what you're doing and why, what you're working out and why, and how to do it properly. A lot of injury can happen in gyms if you are doing things incorrectly, and that can also happen with an incorrect personal trainer. So I pride myself highly. I've trained for going on 25 years now, and I pride myself highly in my clients have never injured themselves within a session, nor in the gym either, because of the education that they're being provided during the session. Again, going back to the why, the how, how to do this correctly. So it's not just about the pumping, it's about the taking it slow and me observing every moment of their movements to show them tangibly how to either change it or how they're doing it correctly. And then again, that bleeds into the nutrition aspect as well. Okay, why are you feeling like this? Let's write me up a 2 or 3 day food log. Let's dissect what you're giving yourself, what you're putting into your body. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I had a client come back to me and she's like, I'm doing this, this, and this. I'm working out as hard as I ever have, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, I know that's not the issue. Write me a 3 day food log. And then, because she was gaining as she was trying to lose weight, she thought it was more and more issues, hormonal or this, or I got to go to the doctor for this. I said, let's start here. So we look at her 3 day food log. In the first second of my eyes going on that paper, I said, bingo, it is this simple. It's not a simple process, no, but she has me to walk through with it. But finding the answer was simple. It was right there on the paper. And I even wrote her immediately. I said, we found your problem. You don't need to go to the doctor for this. It's right in your diet. It's in your nutrition. So let's get this squared away first. And that's just it. I'm not saying to not go to the doctors. I'm not saying to not, listen to your doctor and this and that. But let's start with obvious things, obvious to a trainer, not to the someone who's not in the fitness industry. But let's start with things in your life, in your home right now today, and go from there. And most of the time it is simple solutions that I can remind them of or provide them for that simple solution. And it works. instead of having to make that doctor's appointment. A lot of times they will still go to the doctor, and the doctor mimics exactly what I've told them, or things of that nature. So that's, neat to experience as well. So it all goes hand in hand. And then as somebody continues to be in a workout routine and regimen, it settles into our mental health so much so without us really realizing it, that the way a lot of clients will explain it is, I just have to go. Like, I just have to go to the gym. I didn't want to today, but something else was telling me to go. That's your subconscious. That's your body. That's your brain saying, go. We need that goodness. We need that release. Whatever that's doing to our mental health, it's a good thing doing to our mental health. So let's go and get this taken care of. And so that's really neat to see it starting to settle into clients' bodies and brains naturally, to where they feel that need to go and work out and get that relief and get that calorie burn and get those endorphins going. And that's an ongoing, continual conversation as well. We're not just trainers. We are therapists. We're exercising therapists, so they can talk as they're working out. And that's a natural occurrence because of what the exercise is bringing out in us. There's been tears in the gyms from both myself and clients. That's definitely not a no tear zone. It's an all go zone. A lot of clients will start opening up to me, and I don't know if I can talk to you about this and this and that. I'm like, this is health. Absolutely. If you need to go see a therapist, I have someone I can refer you to. But don't not bring these things to the table, because if they're bringing it to the table, there's a reason for that. For one. For two, us adults, we don't seek out a lot of that kind of help. Us females are a little bit better at doing so, but that's not 100%, and it's not guaranteed. And then when it comes to the males, it's even a harder, sticky scenario for those guys to go and find somebody to go talk to, so everything comes out in training sessions, which is a blessing on both sides. And that kind of goes back to my comment earlier of when I was able to realize, instead of me being a trainer for survival and for a job, and I really grasped onto the reality of what my position holds is to help people in all aspects of health, then that allowed myself to be even more available for my clients, and allowed myself to realize where my health needed to be, which is up here and above.
I like the approach and that's probably why, we work together and we're friends, and we both belong to many of the same business, we're business partners,
right?
And we're networking partners. Yep. I like when you said, I have someone I can refer you to. So your specialty is as a personal trainer when something comes up, because when you're working out, I truly believe that I call them gates, or certain walls come down. They're broken in that workout, mm-hmm. and truths are revealed. Mm-hmm. And if it's something that's outside of your purview, or something that needs somebody with more specialty, like I coach. I'm a spiritual coach. I'm a Christian counselor, Christian coach. There are others who have gone through trauma coaching. As a matter of fact, I'm working on trauma certification. Even I've been doing it for 25 years now, and so we're going to get certified at it. But awesome. I like the fact that you believe in collaboration.
Yes.
And why wouldn't you just do it yourself?
Right. We can be experts in a lot of things. And if you're going to go and get a certification or a master's program or something on those, then awesome. You should. But we can only be experts in so many things, we can spread ourselves thin. So instead of being an expert in one topic, we can be kind of knowledgeable in a few different things. And so you can go, either road that you want to take. But I am an expert in the exercise part. I'm becoming an expert in human beings, human thought process and things like that, due to my experience with my clients. but I don't have a certification or anything to stamp on that. And so the experts, let's say we're talking about the therapist, the therapist, for example, has gone through the schooling, has had that many more personal relationships and experiences with their clients on a therapist level than I have. And so that is when the expert needs to be called in for that sort of thing. An addiction counselor. I have much self-experience with addiction as well, but that's only my experience. Yes, I've gained other people's experience with it as well through talking about it, but I'm not an expert in it. So then there's going to be an addiction counselor who could be that expert. My therapist, my frequency and lens therapist gal, she has the equipment to set up to run these programs. I don't. And so that is when I would need to refer out to her. So having those partnerships and collaborations and referral systems is a very important aspect to have in a career in your line of work, I believe.
All right. We could just keep going because I would like to, because this is an area that is so close and dear to my heart. And Shawna, I'd love to have you back because we didn't touch on some of the other issues. And so I would like to know that you will come back.
Absolutely.
I'd like to deal with some of the other issues that we talked about, but they require much deeper detail.
Yes.
And so, everyone, Shawna Cullen, and she is elitebusinessrevolution.com. Shawna at elitebusinessresolution.com. Call her, text her, check her out. And Shawna, thank you so much. And we'd love to see you tomorrow at same time. We are for our guest tomorrow. And also, please do not forget Victory Service Dogs, one of our favorite nonprofits. If you are in the Denver area, June 9th and 10th, please get in contact with me. I have just a few tickets left, complimentary tickets to the June Achieve Business Explosion. And for those of you who have not seen the press release, we are now collaborating with Mentor Studio. And if you've ever wanted to be a speaker or an author, call me. So thank you so much, Shawna. And thank you, everyone. We will see you tomorrow at the same time.
Yes, thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.